for,
to do that.
you probably could, or you could do a couple pieces of tape. The idea is you want to protect this spot. That's the main idea. So again, look at what you got, what tools do you have, how can you protect this spot? Because here and here are where the tape is most like the tape can get thin and rub, and it can actually cut them or cause a big blister. And then they're gonna be like, you made me worse, dude. So you want to protect it. If you were using moleskin, it's sticky on the back, you know, just slap that on.
How about 4x4?
Yeah. You gotta add some stuff. And like he said, what about tape? You could put some tape here. The other ones I would choose first, but I would put tape rather than nothing.
I find Coban a little abrasive myself. You know, it just has a rough texture to it.
Well, and the Coban wouldn't just stick there on its own, so I wouldn't do that. But were you saying the stretchy tape?
She's a Coban like you're doing pre-wrap.
Instead of pre-wrap.
Glue under it.
Yeah, that could work. You guys were saying the Coban gets a little tight. Yeah, using this one. So you'd have to be careful using the Coban as you would a pre-wrap. So this pre-wrap is not adding any support. It's there for like leg hair. so if
you don't have that, you just tape right on the skin.
tape it right on the skin. So this is just, like I told the last class, I said it's more like a bow on a present. It's like you still get the present without a bow. And it can, let me see if I can cause one of these. It can roll, and these little rolls, especially if you get them down here, they'll cause a blister. So if you get one of those, pick it, and it'll come off. You don't have to redo the whole thing. But if this is giving you too much trouble, like how I said, I can tape an ankle in 10 minutes or 2 minutes. If it's taking you 15 minutes to figure out this stupid pre-wrap, just get rid of it. So, and then.
It'll wear off next year.
So then you want to do your anchors. So if you didn't have the pre-wrap, you would still do these anchors. So I tape the pre-wrap down, but if there's no pre-wrap, you still need an anchor for the rest of the tape. And then spins about mid-foot. Do a real gentle mid-foot. Does that feel like I'm pulling it at all? I'm just laying it on, okay? And then most people, when they sprain their ankle, they step on a rock and roll out this way, right? So with the tape job, we're pulling it back this way. So that,
Gently pulling.
yes, gently pulling. Or retaining it. So you want to have them keep their foot at 90 degrees, because if I tape it with her foot like this, she has to walk the rest of the way like that, okay? So keep them at 90 degrees. You can pull it this way. This one's usually, you can put a little more effort into that than some of the others. If you can't figure out the tension on that, just go from the bottom, like so. And it's okay if it's sticking up and getting ugly. They're not on TV, so you just want to make sure they're okay.
Sometimes they are on TV camera.
That's true. Maybe you should sign it. So,
How many of those?
3.
3?
And if you got a real big guy, you might want to do more than 3. Or if you're like, this is really jacked up looking ankle. This one, it doesn't, I mean, you could get weird and get too tight down here. Like if you get it pinched, sometimes people get, you know, they get their tape kind of gumped up and then they're like, whoop. Well, that's like a little roach. You don't want that.
What she's doing there is artificially replacing the collaterals, the medial and the lateral collateral.
The ligaments
Because
that
you've
pulled in the front.
torqued that, you've torn it, and this is helping stabilize that.
So, get the main idea. Do some stirrups that hold them from going side to side, and then you're gonna let your foot go again. You can go like so. That's sometimes necessary. Oh, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself there. For you guys, don't go round and round and round, because it tends to get uneven and too tight. So just go from the back and meet it up at the front. Okay. And sometimes if somebody's got a ton of swelling and you're trying to decide what to do, well, what I was going to say is sometimes what you can do is you can actually cut this layer and you still get this side support, but you have a channel for the swelling to head up. So if you got somebody that you're like, this is really swollen, or they got to make it 20 miles.
Now you're cutting the tape, right?
Yes.
With a razor blade.
They told me I could cut her skin.
How far down you cut the tape? You cut it all the way down through the whole foot? Or you just cut it?
You know, you're going to want to listen to your patient on that for your person, but right about here. Or sometimes you can go all the way here. But it's almost like you do the first layer of the tape job before you split that. That's rare. You probably aren't going to need to do that. But if you're looking at it and they're already like, you see their foot's just going crazy with swelling, probably wanna put that channel in there, cause you know that it's gonna be tight within 10 minutes of them walking away. So, but that's also where you would look and say, maybe we split this and then we're gonna give you an ace wrap on the top. And if this isn't working out for you, you might have to take the whole thing off and just ace wrap it.
Okay.
And that's where I was saying, maybe have a bunch of those papers to
Right.
send them with. So, now, see how there's gaps here? It's okay to have the heel hanging out, but these gaps in here, you wanna cover up. So that's just your basic layer. And then here's another angle that's gonna help with the rotation that your ankle does. So this is called a heel lock. Some people talk about figure eights, and they do the same job. A figure eight is just a heel lock that keeps going, but that's kind of more of a advanced level taping. So you're gonna start here. You can kind of follow the ankle up, and you'll see, or follow the heel up, you'll see, you wanna start about here, right in here, okay?
What's wrong with that?
You'll get pockets of swelling, and then also the tape will rub unevenly at those gaps. So if you start getting the skin puffing out, and it's right at the edge of that tape, the tape will be rubbing. So, and that's just an even layer. You're not making it tight, you're just making it nice and on there, okay? But then, okay, so let's show you that heel lock again. So I'm gonna start here, come around the back of the heel, and come up, boom. And again, since we talked about most people spraying by twisting their foot that way, you're gonna do outside, then an inside, and then an outside again. So somebody mentioned, they said, I always forget, so I just do 3. I do 3 up here, 3 down here, 3 of those, and that will work fine. So, but inside, outside, inside.
You can
This,
count to 3?
I do 3. Once we get higher than that, we're kind of 5 is, this is where people usually get their tape cuts from, is because the taper is like, oh, we gotta make sure it ends up right here. And you're pulling, you see that dent in her foot? Can you bend down? Is that? Do you see how that's, you know what I'm saying? So those are the things, that's like a little rope in there, and you're just cutting there. So you want it to stay flat, and you want the tension to stay even, okay? So.
Oh, the tension.
To stay even. So if you know, I was saying to the other person, I had one guy, his foot was weird, and every time I do this heel lock, I swear to you, the tape would end up over here. Well, that was his foot, so be it. Boop, leave it. As long as it's not leaving some weird tension. Okay, so don't say in your head, I have to have this look like pretty. Just say, I have to make sure there's no tension, no gaps, and I'm pulling the foot the right direction.
Yeah, and you've got a nice wrinkle in your tape
Where?
on top.
That one's okay. So, and then sometimes after you look at it, you'll see little bulges, and you'll say, oh, I kind of didn't get the tension matching up there, so I'll gently lay a new one on top. But you're not, all of these down here, you're not cranking it on.
Okay, so what kind of support and compression are you feeling?
It's harder to go that way. And what you can do to find the tightness, you can say, stand up. Does that feel like it's pulling or cutting you anywhere, or squeezing you any one spot? You want to walk around too. Is Gary fit?
you have support.
Yes. So this would basically do what you would put somebody in an ankle brace for. This is just a disposable ankle brace. So.
She also has compression, which is helping with the
With the swelling.
pain and